friends around the circle. This is Jeff Cook. I'm with the TJ Wilson.
Hello.
And we are on to our panel of fours talking stress and security today.
The biggest panel we've ever had.
It is. We have 6 fours with us.
Yeah, there's a handful of types that it's like it's really twisting arms to get people to show up. Fours is not that problem.
Well, I'm thrilled that everybody has made it. We're going to do a quick introduction. Introduce yourself, and then give me one fun fact about yourself. We're going to go around the circle with the circle in front of me, and that means, Joe, you get to start.
So I'm Jo. I'm in the UK, Cardiff, Wales, specifically. Been on and off with the Enneagram for a really long time. Thought I was a 2 for a very, very long time. Then realised I'm definitely not. And a fun fact I don't really have, but I will share why. And that's because as soon as you said fun fact, my fear of fun kicked right in. And I don't know whether fours relate to this, but like the pressure of having fun, like my heart's pounding. Fun fact, ask me my deepest, darkest secrets. They're yours. Ask me to have fun. No idea.
Perfect.
Stellar. Delian, you're next.
Well, hello. I'm Delian, and I live in upstate New York, near the Finger Lakes. And usually when I get asked what's an interesting fact about me, I tell people I'm obsessed with the Enneagram. So I don't think that's going to work here. I am, I guess, interesting. I'm an actor. Is that an interesting fact?
It is.
So there. That's what I'll use.
What's your favorite part that you've ever played?
I have 2 that are equal. So I just actually produced and wrote and acted in a short film that I did last year. And so that role where I get to play a jaded stepsister. And then my other favorite one is called Biota. It was a short film where I got to play a very badass sci-fi doctor who gets to fight things. So it's very action-oriented and very fun.
Wonderful. Amanda, you're up next.
So I'm in Idaho, but grew up in Texas. And I've been studying the Enneagram mostly when I was a teacher. My background is in an instructor of psychology for high school and college and school counseling, and got into Enneagram as a tool to help my students kind of figure out what they want to do with their lives. So that's how I got started in it. But right now I'm doing health coaching. I too am like, one fact, I don't know. I think the most forest fact I can bring up is that I'm like covered in tattoos.
What's your favorite tattoo?
Oh, geez. Probably my half arm is all fall theme, because of course I love fall. Doesn't every four like the moody fall aesthetic?
The season where everything is dying. No, I could. I'm sure that's lovely. Melanie, tell us about yourself.
Melanie, I live in Seattle, and I've been studying the Enneagram for 2.5 years, pretty intensively. And my fun fact is that at 63, I'm opening a small business for the first time in my life with a partner.
Awesome.
Congratulations. What type of business are you starting?
It's a pet retail and grooming business for sensitive pets.
Oh, I love
That's stellar. That's, of all things, we have a good a 4 who would come to events that we had in Greeley, and they were a mortician for pets. And It was a very interesting overlap in terms of just the like, here is somebody's strength of really moving into those spaces of grief with a lot of skill, very unique, as it were, like vocation. But pet mortician. Anyway, welcome.
Thank you.
Shoshana, tell us about yourself.
Hello. I'm also in the UK, in Brighton and Hove. I recently moved back here after living in the States for more than half my life, 34 years. So it's a big readjustment. And I learned about the Enneagram initially in my drama therapy training in the 2000s through enacting all of the numbers. That was really, really wonderful.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah.
So another actor.
Yes.
Crystal, you're last.
I live in Houston, Texas. I'm a social worker.
Ooh.
I work psych ward.
I mean, we could just go the whole time on stories that you have. So. We shouldn't, though.
Well, welcome all. We're doing our stress and security panel, as I said. That means that we're going to focus a lot on the three centers, your relationship with the centers, and just kind of what it feels like for you as a four to move. Just as a announcement for everybody, this is only the third of these panels that we're doing. We've done fours, fives, and sixes now, and just as a plug there, we're looking forward to having those other 6 conversations as well. But to get into fourness, I actually want to start with your head. I want to start with your secondary center. We're probably going to talk quite a bit about your feelings, and we're probably eventually going to talk quite a bit about getting into your body. However, you do have a relationship with your head, with your mind, with your thinking center. And I would love to start there. When you think about your thinking, do you think thoughts or do you feel your thoughts? And can you describe that?
I'm going to answer. I'll jump in. I don't know if whether this is answering the question exactly, but I can't help but answer it in what feels like a very full way, and maybe my actor way. I often find myself thinking through scripts, like I'm in a scene, like I'm in a situation, and I'm getting a script about what's happening. I turn it into, my mind is like creating story, but I know that I'm creating this story. I mean, we're always creating stories, right? But I know I'm creating this story. Or I might have a haiku that comes out. There's always something creative going on in my head that's actually sometimes lovely and sometimes scary.
Is it ever the case that you're not part of that story? Are you able to think, do you find yourself thinking
I'm usually
scripture?
not part of it. I'm usually...
Oh, okay. It's normally about other people.
It's usually, an observer kind of thing. 5 wing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. How else might you describe, I may have been a little bit too specific in my question, when thinking about your relationship with your mind and your thinking center, what comes to mind first?
The idealizing, like the fantasizing and idealizing, and just spending so much time there, but it's motivated by the emotions. Like it triggers the whatever idealizing or fantasizing I go into.
The topic is fantastic.
Yeah. The ideal me, the ideal situation, the ideal romance, the ideal horror story, the ideal, it is. It's stories that plays out. Sometimes I'm a part of it, sometimes I'm not, but poetry will come out of it a lot of times, my way to journaling or poetry, but it does feel more like getting into the fantasy life, the idealized life, and, getting out of the real world.
Perfect. Anyone else on their thoughts?
For me, it wouldn't be so much about idealizing, but it definitely is related to story. So I would definitely say that I am storying like everything. And that would be where the emotions go into the head for me. It's a way of finding, not control, that's not the right word, but it's meaning through the emotions is through the headspace by story.
Big through line here for all three of you. What do you see there, TJ?
Yeah, story is a huge part of this. I keep thinking about the idea of experiencing things like a script, like everything's a scene, and thinking about I have a background in acting. I'm a terrible actor, but I love the theater, and the idea of an actor's job is not to say the words on the page, right? It's to emote. It's to help the people watching experience, come into a scene, a story, have an emotional response, and so all of that thinking is filtered through that idea of what the story is, what the purpose is, and part of how we experience story and purpose is through those emotions that we experience within that. And you can't have a good story without emotions. Otherwise, it's just facts. It's boring. So.
That's excellent. Pushing a little further into just thinking about thinking, a lot of folks want to use terms like objective and subjective around thinking. Is there any reason to think that fours cannot be objective in their thinking? Do you see yourself as ever an objective person? or are you something else?
I think it would be unfair to say we can't be objective, but I think maybe it's more of a chosen, learned skill. Maybe it's not innately like a go-to
Yeah.
place. But because we have really high empathy, I think that allows a certain amount of objectivity because we can tune into all of the different ways that can be seen, interpreted, and experienced.
High empathy. One thing that's objective is somebody else's emotions, yeah? I mean, that you can respond to somebody else. As a four, can you objectively assess somebody else's emotional condition? That seems right to me. Am I wrong?
I think
At
you
least
can.
I
yeah.
believe, yeah, I feel like I believe I can.
My question, further question would be, can you assess, evaluate whatever another person's emotions without feeling them? And
No.
like to sort of lead that, I'm looking for an answer. Can you do that without intentionally practicing it? Like those of you who can do that, did you have to learn how to do it?
No.
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 Okay.
Had to learn to be analytic. I remember training myself to be analytic, to actually step back from my feelings and make myself go to my head, like very young. And other people are nodding, so I think this is resonating with people.
This would go alongside some of the language that TJ and I have used commonly when describing the four on the line with the head center, is that they feel their thoughts. What I hear there is that you feel your thoughts about other people's emotions. And that would be a common place to live, yeah? I think empathy is a great word for that posture.
Well, I think that for me, that's how the empathy works. I am constantly creating stories about what I feel is happening, including what I think is happening inside another person. And the thoughts are building a narrative around what's happening to them, what's happening to me, what's happening around us, what could the possible end result be. A little bit of like that fantasizing of, okay, what's the ideal way this will transpire as well.
You got thoughts, Teach? Any of that?
Nothing to add to that.
I was just thinking that the ability to past reference, or the tendency maybe to past reference, certainly is part of that skill set, or whatever you might want to call it. You know, we're using our that narrativizing of how we imagine someone's history has played into their current state, and then that's informing.
It's certainly,
Go ahead.
sorry, I was to say it's certainly either. I'm not sure if we should be able to assess other people's emotions objectively, but for me, it's a way to keep boundaries. So,
The emotions are a way to keep boundaries, or
or
something else?
being able to, objectively someone else's turn it.
That would be
Analysis.
I suppose a question. Are you able to shut off that gear? Are you able to say, I'm going to not be empathetic and really just try to...
Well, I think it's just in the work that I do, probably,
Yeah.
as a social worker,
Fair.
sometimes you just, unfortunately.
Yeah, you won't be a social worker for very long if you don't figure out how to separate those things.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, because I was a trained therapist for many years as well, and through the arts. And I don't think it's so much about shutting them off. It's about, I think what I feel is a strength of fours that I know, and I work with a lot of fours in my field, is the ability to transmute feelings and work with them. Like we can receive them and then hold them. We can hold them and hold ourselves. So it's not about shutting off. It's actually about staying open and being able to transmute feelings and play with them.
And hold them without
Part
needing...
of that play is also...
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Sorry. I was going to say part of that play for me would be about knowing which ones are yours and which ones are someone else's, right? So in my therapy training, we use a term called bracketing, where we learn the resonant sense of what is someone else's that is firing off within us and what is ours that is firing off within us. And so we can still utilize what we're gaining from someone else, but we can bracket our own responses so that we know they're there. We can still be informed by it, but we're not reactive with it.
I tend to think of my own emotions as something happening to me. Some of the language that I'm hearing from y'all is that feelings are more like an object to be played with. Am I wrong in saying that? Can you talk about the nature of feelings in that space? Like, what is a feeling for you?
I think for me, the first thing that pops into my mind when you say that is like feelings are colors, and yes, they're to be played with, but they're to be used to make an experience, whether it's happening just internally for me or something I'm creating for other people through art or even interactions. But yeah, feelings are to be utilized for sure. They can also feel like they're happening to me, but just in most of my day-to-day life, it's something to use and it's like a ride to go on. If and there's the healthy version of that where it's just like, let's just be exhausted on the ride all the time. Or it's let's utilize this and create something sustainable and also useful.
I don't think about using my feelings. I mean, I feel them. I've never thought about using my feelings. So they do happen to me, or I let them. Actually, I should say I let them. I can make them bigger. So I can definitely feel like I can make them bigger. But I guess I don't think about doing anything with them more than just letting them be what they are and letting them be as big as I want them to be.
Sometimes for me, they feel bigger than I want them to be, but I don't necessarily feel I can always control them.
Yeah.
I suppose one of the things that I heard there, and this is not in my wheelhouse, is I'm not really concerned with engaging others' feelings in a way that would control them. But that was something I think I heard there, that perhaps that you're aware of your own emotional state, but perhaps also aware of the emotional state of the person in front of you and what your effect on their emotions might be, for good and bad. Would that be fair?
For me, I definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
I think for me, that's like the excitement of engaging and connecting with people.
Yeah.
My husband's an 8, and so I think that's like where a lot of our intensity can exist in that space. But that could also just be a me thing too. Like, I don't know if that's the case for all fours.
Sometimes there's that push-pull thing where, I'm express too much or show too much. It can be pretty bad.
I would love to build on this for a second. Is it a priority of yours or a desire of yours to get other people to feel a certain way? Or is it the case that you're more interested in experiencing what they're feeling and honoring that as true and honest in the rest?
The second
The
one.
second
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm more interested in at least people acknowledging their feelings.
Well, I'm also wondering, like, for all of you, answer that question again, but thinking about when you're less healthy.
Easy.
Yay! 4 territory. For me, I really want people to feel what I'm feeling when I'm unhealthy. Or at least I want them to like spend a lot of
Yes.
time exploring it with me. And the more unhealthy I am, the more I need them to do that in order to feel okay about myself.
Sort of like validating the internal experience.
It's
Right.
like a validation and also, oh, I'm not alone because you are also, you get it.
Yeah.
And if they can also be with you in that, then more understood.
Is being known, being seen, is that equivalent to somebody else feels what I'm feeling? Is that the same thing? They feel what I'm feeling, and therefore I am seen, I am known.
I don't think so. Not for me. It's for me. It's
Not
about
for
the
me.
striving to understand. They may or may not understand, but there's something about. I think that's for me what we do as twos. I was mistyped a 2 for a long time. that's interesting that just came out of my mind. You know, it's something about the striving to be understood. And I know for me, particularly with some head types, that has been a real challenge in my relationships, because I'm responding from a call for an emotional response, and I'm getting this very hyper rational response, and I don't know who this person is. I can't feel them. So as long as I can feel the other person, it doesn't actually matter what is going on with them. I just need to feel that they're feeling something, that they're responding also from their feeling center, and not just like going up to their heads. That's the part where I start feeling like this is crazy making to me.
Yeah.
When I'm in an unhealthy space, I definitely withdraw, and I'm not looking for somebody to understand me, but I'm looking for someone to have some curiosity about how I'm feeling and to listen to me talk about it. So they don't need to understand what it is or feel it. I just want them to want to know how I'm feeling. Just hold space for me.
Does it ever get frustrating, though, if they don't make any headway on understanding? Like, is it for you? This is like fascinating to me. Is it just something where if they try, that's enough? Or do they have to get someplace in understanding in order for it to feel connection or relational connection was restored or could go further?
It's more the interest and the caring, the positive regard, the holding space and really being present. I feel like most of the time, most people don't understand my feelings. And I've stopped expecting people to do that most of the time. And I feel okay about that. I just think my feelings are big, and my feelings are very nuanced, and most people can't understand them. And so to have the strong connection, I just need people to be there and want to know and be able to be there for me like I can be for other people, but they can't do it as long as I can. And I get that too. Mm-hmm. So, and that's okay with me.
Is it also about acceptance?
Yeah, accepting my feelings.
For me, what you're saying is like if the understood bit isn't as important for me as the acceptance of me.
Yeah.
Of my feelings, whether they're understood or not, as long as they're kind of accepted.
Yeah, accepting them and not feeling fixed or not feeling like they want me to move through them. Just like letting me have the feelings that I'm having, and that's it. Not trying to do anything with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
No problem
More of a
solving.
holding.
Yep.
More of a holding space, which is what I think fours are really good at doing for everyone else, because it's like, that's what we want.
Yeah.
Why can't you do it for us?
And I think, like, as part of all of that, like the word striving to understand, the attempts to understand, I think we need to say a lot for people who love fours that like once you figure it out, it won't stay there. Like that, I think that's also part of the feeling understood versus wanting to feel like people are interested or trying, is because the goalposts are constantly changing. And the minute someone is like, I get it, I get you, you're like, I'm out. I'm all the way over there now. This doesn't make any sense.
True.
It's so true. It's like having a child and you feel like you've figured them out and then they change.
Yep. Yep.
It's like that. I feel like I'm like that all the time.
So that striving is like feeling that sense of feeling understood for a lot of us who aren't fours. There's sort of a fixed point, and like if you get this part of me, you kind of get me. But with a lot of fours that I've encountered, and it sounds like you as well, that the desire for understanding is a never-ending task, and that is what you're looking for, is someone who's wanting to continue to try.
Right.
Yes.
Great. Well, that's all the time we have.
Speak to this for a second. There is, I think I come to the table thinking that fours are more interested in their own emotional core than the emotions of others. And that's not at all what I'm hearing here. Talk about how you find happiness, stability, self-understanding in just the relational connections that you have, because that's what I'm hearing is just a desire for,
It's
like, that strikes me as your sweet spot. Yeah.
For me, it's about call and response, and maybe that's coming back to the theatre as well. Like theatre training gives you that. You know, it's all about being in the moment and going into your imagination, saying yes to the offer, and really that being an improviser doesn't feel like work. It's play. It's relationship for me is about play, back and forth. I'm not a sports person at all, but I imagine if you're really good at tennis, that back and forth, the pleasure of being giving and receiving, is for me the high of being in a relationship.
Yes.
If I spend too much time by myself, not in relation to other people, then I start to go in unhealthy places. And I have different levels of contact with people. So I mean, there are people that I just have a brief chat with, the checker at the grocery store, or one of my neighbors when I'm out walking my dog. And then there are people that I have conversations with that are specific, like about a specific thing. And then there are people that I share myself with and they share themselves with me. And so the different levels of contact are all important. They're all important to me. It's the connection with other people. And as long as my expectation isn't we're gonna have a really heart-to-heart conversation and they want to talk about the weather, then it's fine. I mean, it's as long as I know, okay, this kind of friend or this kind of acquaintance, I'm going to get this kind of contact with, and all of it works together to give me the sort of richness of connection that I need to be healthy and that I want to feel like the world is the best place, the most wonderful place to live in.
For those of you who are a little bit more informed on Enneagram and are able to see other types, can you make a distinction between how you experience joy in relationships versus how twos experience joy and connection in relationships? Is there what would you put language to there in terms of what makes you different from the twos you know?
I'm particularly interested in answers to that question from the two women who told us they mistyped as twos. And if anyone else did, you too as well.
So this is actually something that's come up for me recently, but one of the biggest differences I see in how I want to connect versus how the twos in my life want to connect is that I want to know their inner landscape and I want them to know mine. And for them, connecting is like, we're doing something together. Let's go and do this thing together that we can both be interested in together. And I can really appreciate that because it pulls me into some movement that I need to have. But that is where there can be a big, if I'm not willing to go do those things and to be a little bit more what feels like surface for me, like just doing an activity and being in the present moment and enjoying the fact that this activity is nice. If I can't do that, and if the two can't ever come down and be like, okay, now we're going to sit here, have a cup of tea, and actually talk about what's going on inside of ourselves and with each other. If those two things can't have some kind of coming together, it's very hard for me to connect. And for, I think, a two to connect with me.
It's well said.
For me, I think
thoughts?
why I thought I was a two was because it was my stress point. And I was very much service-oriented, trying to, wanting to fix other people, having a massive savior complex, and having my heart, someone put it this way, twos have their hearts outside their bodies. And, that part of me felt like the real, I didn't know what I needed. I thought my needs were about just being serving other people's needs. That was the primary goal, but that was my stress point. And it wasn't until a colleague of mine who's very steeped in the Enneagram said to me, Shoshana, I know you're not meant to type someone else, but I don't think you're a 2. One, those red cowboy boots and your style. And you have a much stronger sense of yourself. That was like bing, bing, bing for me.
I think for me, my 4 was quite rejected early on. And so my 2 was nurtured. And I work with, I'm a therapist, and I kind of draw on the Enneagram. It's not a formal part of my work, but I certainly draw on it and have conversations with clients on the Enneagram. And I've come across this with multiple clients as well. And it's interesting for me to sit in this space and see other people who also have strong 2 journeys as part of their 4 identity. This kind of idea of 4 being kind of rejected at some level and 2 being nurtured. And I think that kind of leads a lot of us down a path where we embody a lot of our 2 qualities. And it can be it's when it hits some kind of really painful edges that we have to kind of let go of that.
I was just going to say most of my relationship connectivity issues have been with my mom, who's a 9. And so it's been this balance of of intensity, because she has a hard time dealing with the emoting and the intensity of what I am saying and feeling. An example is when I was a teenager and I was struggling with body issues, I was like, I just want to take a knife and scrape off all my fat. And that's how I was feeling at the time. I wouldn't actually do it, but that's how I was feeling. My poor mom was thinking, she's actually going to do this. This is intense. There's like, it's okay. It's okay. So we've had to work out a balance of me kind of pulling back a little bit around her, and then her also giving a little space for me to have the emotions. So it's still a work in progress, but I don't have a lot of 2s in my life, but I do see the work having to be done with my 9 mom. So,
and 2s give to the point where like they're secretly resenting it. Like you'll see a 2 will never tire of giving, but they're also secretly resenting it. And like I think for 4s, when we give genuinely and generously. Like we really want to, if we're in a healthy way anyway. I think often we're going to our 2 when we're talking about those movements today, right? That's the point. And I think for 4, going into a 2 and getting stuck there can be dangerous territory potentially.
Let's talk about that. Speaking of, this is a stress and security conversation. What are some of the signs for you that you're moving into stress, that you're really picking up 2 tools or even falling into 2 space? What are some of the things that happen to you that you can name?
My first thing is I do everything for everybody and nobody's helping me out. And I find myself in that martyr space and having a meltdown about doing all the things for all the people, and I'm serving and giving and nobody's reciprocating. And that's usually my first, okay, Amanda needs a timeout. We use to rein it in a little bit. But that's usually the first thing I see, is getting into that martyr and then freaking out over everybody.
Well said.
I start losing touch with my own feelings. And so I'm so focused on other people's feelings that I stop paying attention to my own. And then I start feeling, you were talking about, maybe this isn't the time to talk about being in your body, but I start feeling that in my body, how I am not in touch with my emotions.
Can you describe that a little bit? Like, what does that feel like?
It's like a tenseness, and it's an unsettledness. So I start feeling like it's not really anxious. It's just more like I start feeling tight. I notice that my body is tight, or sometimes I will actually be making a fist and I didn't realize it. So it's like a tightness that I get. And then that's kind of a signal to myself to be like, okay, stop. What is going on? And always when that happens, I'm not paying attention to my own feelings. So something is happening and I am continuing to respond to somebody else, but I'm having feelings about that, or there's a red flag coming up and I am so caught up that it's like in the back of my head. It's kind of like ding, 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 but I'm not really listening. And so my body is what gets me there.
I'm resonating with what you're saying there. I'm thinking, yes, it's like cat on a hot tin roof kind of a feeling for me. And yeah, noticing that I'm worried and anxious about what's happening with the other person in that situation. I'm like completely focused on, because I'm reading all of their emotions. I'm reading the unsaid and making all kinds of stories about what's going on. If I can't read what's going on emotionally with someone, that is like I'm a wreck, a complete banshee wreck. That's like pure meltdown material.
It's really different when I choose to go to the high side of 2. So if I choose to go there, then I'm totally in touch with my own feelings and I'm in touch with other people's feelings. It's just when I go into the low side of 2 that I lose the touch with myself.
Having also been a person who thought that I was a 2 I experienced being in my stress number for a significant part of my life. And when I first came to the Enneagram, that's what I thought I was, which is why I didn't listen to the Enneagram at all for a while. And then it's really interesting because yes, everything becomes very external for me. The focus leaves what's happening inside and gets put out. And in my stress, there's lots of different things that can trigger stress, right? But for me, it's usually an emotional thing. It's a relational disconnection that occurs that jumpstarts me into stress. And yeah, when I go to the low side, I'm like, forget that I exist. I don't matter at all. I can push everything away, and it does become tense if I stay too long in it. It's like I just numb out. I don't have any feeling to my body anymore. I don't know what I feel. It's just like blah. But when I go to the high side, it's really like, okay, I have to take these feelings and do something with it that can create the connection that got disconnected. And then when that happens, I come back into my body and I can feel what's happening in me again, more cleanly.
Yeah, I would say what you were saying there, I just want to kind of riff on that a little bit. There's something about the low side there's an urge to control or fix. But in the high side, there's acceptance of the flexibility, the fluidity, and the uncertainty of it.
Yep.
I don't know if that resonates to others.
My assumption with the stress move would be something like things have broken. I'm not getting what I want, which for the 4 would be a sense of one's own significance and really just being in touch with your own emotional core. And moving into stress means that you're outsourcing. You're trying to get that from somebody else. And so that overextending posture would be one of, I'm trying to grab other people who will see me, validate me, say something about me. And two tools are extending in that space. And if you get somebody who meets you in that, in your reaching out for attention, it gives you permission to go back inward. Would that be a worthwhile framing of how the stress move works? Could you build on that? Anything we're saying there?
I think for me, what you just said really triggers an idea of quite often I really need a hug.
Yeah.
And I'll do like anything to try and get one. And if it's not like forthcoming, because the hug isn't just about the physical contact and the containment, and it's about a meeting, right? It's about I see you, accept you, meet you where you are right now in this moment. And this idea of kind of the specialness or whatever, for me, is a little bit of a tension point, because quite often it's not about being kind of held on any kind of pedestal with that specialness. It's about the core intrinsic value of the inner self. And so if you can meet that self by like saying, I'm prepared to step up now and hug you as you are in this moment, fully accepting you in this, there's like a relief to that allows you to return to a base.
Is there another step there that you will do what's required to earn the hug? you of course need the hug, but you will do it. But you put on the hat that says, I need to get external energy engaged that will earn the affection that I crave.
I don't think we earn it at that point, though. It doesn't feel like earning to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in the like the one sense of earning, it doesn't feel like that to me. It feels more like desperation of attainment, but I don't feel like I should be earning it. I feel like it almost more feels like a demanding thing, but like I need to be worthy of it. Like not earning it, I should just intrinsically be worthy of it.
You earn it through being worthy.
I think that does still describe that move into two space, and in particular thinking about the difference between like fours in their center may not necessarily seek out hugs, but twos have nothing but hugs to give, right? So that move is a little bit more sort of free and open to that physical contact than you necessarily are in your center. And even moving into a space where it's needed for connection, needed for understanding of self or whatever, like that move, like twos will grab a hold of the, like twos will do what it takes to gain that relational connection, and fours in their center are a little bit more like hoping that somebody will come find them and give it to them.
Right. We don't
Right.
want to
Exactly
have for
that,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But
no,
that
we
move,
should
like-
not have to ask for it.
Yeah, should not have to ask for it. But in that two space, it's like if they want a hug, they'll go get one.
But if we draw on the two resource to try and get one and it's not met, then that is excruciating.
Oh, yeah.
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 I think that might be one of the
Does this
top
also-
10 worst feelings ever.
Of going for the hug and somebody not giving it.
Yep. Oh, yeah. But I think it
Pure
doesn't
rejection.
look pretty where I go to when I'm in that desperate place. There's this cartoon, like some of you may have seen it, of Homer Simpson barricading himself into his room and then saying, "Why is no one coming to rescue me?" Like for me, that's it. That's like the four in that desperate place. I won't let you anywhere near me. But why aren't you coming to get me?
Yeah. But is there something about that? It's like, I'm going to be I'm my worst now and you're supposed to still love me. 100%.
I'm trying to
get
put my thumb
nosebleeds
on the
ticket.
two-ness here, because when as these things are rolling out, this feels much more like it is an introspective four move that may just be the excessive side of four as opposed to a stress move that feels like, I suppose this is all theory. Again, you all could speak to this. It feels like the two move would have the emotions going outward and perspective going outward at a high degree in order to have someone validate. Because when they validate, then it would give you permission to go back internally and say somebody cares about me and is giving me attention. But the stress move feels like it's more active, more I'm trying to engage another where they're at. I'm getting my eye. I think the big part, I suppose, this is all theory for me, would be getting my eyes off myself, and I'm putting, I'm going from it's 50-50 to I'm going 90% towards them and 10% towards myself would be what I would expect. Am I wrong in saying that?
I definitely understand. It does feel like more movement towards like, I don't care if I'm looking like a fool. Like I can be theatrical and dramatic. And at that point, I'm not really concerned about how I'm looking to someone. It's after the fact that I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do? But it feels ick. It's like willing to be that drama queen just to get recognition, to be seen or heard. For me, it's like, just see me, just hear me. Hello, what can I do to get and as a kid, I would even grab my mom's face and make her like, look at me.
Yeah.
I was even assertive and like, no, look at me. Pay attention to me right now. it's that neediness, clinginess that kind of pushes me forward to doing. The word desperation really resonated with. You're desperate.
I can want to circle like because and maybe I'm wrong here. The idea of the look at me seems to be pushing me back into that four space as opposed to I'm frantically trying to engage this person where they're at. Like when I see twos, that would be more the posture. Not thinking about themselves at all. What can I do for you? What can I do for you? What can I do for you? I suppose that's why I was using the term earning, is there's just so much outward emotional energy going there toward the needs of the other. My assumption is that the stress move for the four would look something like that. But that's not what I'm hearing.
For me, it can look a bit like that. I don't know whether it's also part to do with our instinctual types too. Because for me, that can look like if I feel like with my partner, it was just, we thought she was a two, a sexual two, but it turns out she's a social eight. It can look like getting very walled off, really like this, which is awful for me. And what happens to me is I come up with all kinds of ideas to we can save this, we can do this, we can do that. So I come up with so many ways to save the moment and cannot let her, it's unbearable to let her withdraw like that because that loss of connection is so threatening. But I go into hyper overdrive of like, I've got this tool, we could try this, why don't we try that? Savior. I go into that savior mode.
I will give gifts. What can I do for you? I will try to be the most loyal friend or partner and like show up. I'm here. What can I do for you? But I do the gift giving, like the love bombing and all that kind of stuff.
This all ends up being the thing that has been most helpful for me so far has been that somehow that understanding what the sweet spot for you is when you can establish those sorts of relational connections, right? Where then the give and take begins to move again. But that's why the stress move occurs, is that you don't have the partner, as it were. I don't know, is that overly sexual for language by saying you're looking for a partner? Or does that go beyond that? Like, you want the reciprocated
I mean, it
engagement?
It does go beyond that for me some. I am stressed when, especially if I am the one who has caused something to make connection become disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, I hear you say earning, and I do feel like it definitely pushes me right into action in terms of like, okay, I have to practically figure out what I can do to make this connection come back. I think what's different for me than what I see happening with twos is that I'm still also very aware of what I want. And I am doing those things in order to get something that I want back.
Yeah, that's it. And it's again that I suppose function of a stress move is, in my view, is to return you to center, which is exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it's you know what you want, and so this is more of a tool to get it.
I mean, that's why I choose to go to the high side of two.
Yeah.
So,
talk about that.
I mean, I first go there, and then I'm aware of my own feelings. I'm aware of theirs, and I am earning. Like I do, I do something for them, and I expect to get something back, and it's purposeful. I know what I'm doing. I know why I need that. I've lost connection, or I just need more connection, and I choose it. And then if I don't get it there, that's when I start falling down to the low side of two, where I do too much, or I do something. It's like, this isn't working. I'll do something else. You know, if helping them in this way is not enough to get me what I'm looking for, I'm going to help them in another way, and I'm going to start becoming selfless. And so then I start losing myself and overdoing, which it can really push people away then. Instead of getting me what I want, it can actually do the opposite, because then it's too much trying to do for them and not thinking about what's happening. And so then it can be off-putting.
And I also think that in that space, for me anyway, I also just assume I'm the problem and I must be the one fixing it. like, and I think one of the ways that I can stay in my stress, especially around a certain relationship that isn't working, is that I'm just making it all my problem, all for me to fix. If I can just do one more thing, I will make this better. And it's one of those areas where I can really relate to twos when they say like they don't know how to say no to somebody, or they don't know how to like tell somebody else what they need them to be for them. And that's when I know I'm like at real low level.
Mm.
On the high side of two, we've already used some of the terminology, but things that I would naturally associate, setting fours aside, naturally associate with high side two space is empathy, which we've brought up, being a supportive presence, which we've brought up. The emotional intelligence of twos is real high. It's also something that we've brought up. Is that just cutting across heart types, or is there something about that high side two space for you that you might be gaining something when you intentionally go over there?
I love being in high side to stress space.
Ooh.
I love it. I feel like I am like on top of the world because it's like I'm doing things, I'm making something happen, I'm making somebody else's life better. As long And I think about this too, like there's different types of stressful things that can occur in someone's life, right? Like somebody could get injured right in front of me, and I am far more adept at dealing with that than I am with like my husband and I will be working on a construction thing and he wants me to figure out which screws he needs, and like that can send me into a tailspin, right? I can't handle that. That's ridiculous. And so, but when I can get to like when my stress is amped and I'm able to go into like this flow state with it, oh, I love it.
Great in a crisis.
Yeah.
You become great in a crisis in that space?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of emotional acuity brought to the table.
Yep.
And
That's right.
we need
Yeah.
8s and 3s to solve the practical crises, but they don't care about the emotional problems.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, and we need people with the emotional acuity to say, oh, it's not just that your leg is broken, it's also that like somebody needs to get your kid, and we need to take care of this thing, and what about your pets, and like all of the other aspects of what this means. Like there are practical things, there's a lot of emotional things about crises.
So I would love your thoughts on this. This is bringing up one of my favorite reflections recently on fours. Some of you will be familiar with and watching The Pit. Pit is a TV show about an emergency room in Pittsburgh. By show of hands, anyone watching this show? Is it just me? Okay, great, because it's going to come across so clean. So here's the thing. Everybody on The Pit is ridiculously competent. There are people coming in with the most ghastly wounds and physical problems you could imagine, right? And so the entire time you're used to super competent people addressing very desperate situations. And as you can imagine, occasionally these people die. All of the competence, all of the insights were in the room. Nobody could fix the problem. Mm-hmm. And then there's this glorious woman that walks in who is the 4 social worker. And everything changes when she walks in, because there's a new kind of problem now. And she has like maximal skill for
Now
addressing
she's the one
this.
that's competent.
She's thoroughly competent, but it's not in any of the physical stuff. You can't repair this body. This is a cadaver now. And it always feels like you get like dunked in the water when you weren't expecting it. To me, like we were over here and now we're over here. Anyway, that's what I hear as you're talking about going to that space. The 4 moving into that space seems to me some heroic qualities. High side stress number for us is heroism. But that's what I hear.
And there's energy too,
There's
right?
a
Like we
lot
can
of
use
energy.
that. There's an energetic like thing we can utilize.
Yeah. That's a
So
Well, for me, it rather not to think of myself for once takes me out of myself, and so
And you
when
find
I'm
that freeing?
doing. That,
I haven't heard this before. With this needs to get spoken about. You find it freeing not to have to think about yourself.
I'm not doing for others, when I'm not helping or trying to figure out or it gets exhausting. So
But there's also an edge to it, right? Like, tell me your experience through your work. But for me, like, as a therapist, I completely identify with that. I can literally be sobbing about my problems, walk into a room, it's gone, I'm with you. And like, I am full competent therapist. Do you know what I mean? Within a minute. But there is also a level at which that could become a kind of empathic burnout or a lack of space for myself. And that was one of the things I was reflecting on coming into this space today. It was like, oh, how nice, like a space that's for me to talk about me, because I don't really have so much of that. But I spend all day listening to everyone else's stuff.
Yeah.
We will be starting a force support group after this. Everybody, please put your information in the.
I know a lot of people who will come to that.
I think that what both of you just said is so good, because I think it also points to when you have purpose and you can see that it's having an impact on other people's lives, then it's worth being there, and being able to take the focus off self is refreshing. I think it's really hard when the focus isn't on you, but there's also nothing happening. There's no purpose to it. That can feel, I think that's existential for me.
It's the one.
Is there something about that, about when we're in low twos though, you know? Because that really reminds me of that low two space of like, I'm just frantically sorting out everyone else, but at a level that's just excruciating. It's like a habit, I can't break, or if I'm stuck in it, but it feels awful.
I was going to say it's the space where I feel competent. Like when I'm in that high two and helping in a crisis or sitting and helping in that way, I have more confidence in what I'm capable to do than in my four space.
We're kind of bleeding into my next set of questions, which is going to be about your security move. And your security move may look real similar on these fronts, because both the 1-2 space can have that external action-oriented kind of drive to it. My assumption with 1 space as opposed to 2 is it's going to be less relational. That in 1 space, and this kind of builds on Crystal's reflection, that there's something about being freed from your motive. In my view, I would want to say something like, is there not something that happens when you move into 1 space where you can kind of transcend the emotional stuff for a while? You've done the business with your emotions, and now it's time to engage your body and act and execute and perform and do the things that bring value and meaning and forward motion. Those would be the sorts of things I would associate with a 1 move. It's like you've done, here would be my assumption. I would love your thoughts. You spend the right amount of time doing business with your internal emotional life so that you can then move into the world and do some stuff. When you have done the proper business with your own internal emotions, that gives you a leverage point for moving beyond them, because you've already gotten your motive fulfilled, as it were, and that would allow you to get into that 1 space and move forward. Am I wrong there? Would that describe your security move?
I think the only thing I would add to that is not just emotional work, but also having built some kind of practical competence in the world. I think without that, for me, it's like I feel no security whatsoever. If I'm just dealing with my emotions, only doing work on my inner life, but not building something that I can actually go do out in the world, I'd never feel secure.
Because you have to move into a place where this is yours to do.
Exactly. That's right.
I would say that sometimes I get that feeling strongly that it is mine to do, but if it's something that's new that I haven't done before, then I have to step back and deal with my feelings about how I feel about that, and how I feel about like my initial incompetency and my learning curve. And then I have feelings about that. And then when I work through those feelings, and sometimes I get paralyzed or I can't move forward because I'm having feelings about moving forward. And then when I'm able to work through those feelings, then I can move forward even into the incompetency, which takes me, moving through that to competency. I'm able to do that then, but I have to kind of reconcile myself, explore it, get ready, and then hold on to those feelings as I'm moving that direction.
I love everything you just said. That's so brilliant. And also, are the feelings generally shame tinged that you
Yes.
have to move through? Yeah.
Yep.
That's how I feel too.
Shame as
Because
what
you
will
don't know
other
how to
people
do
think about you?
No, not well. Yes.
Or your sense of
Shame about
valuelessness?
so shame about some shame about what other people might think if they knew. Because I'm trying to be really careful to not let people know. And also shame myself about things like I should have known better, or I should have anticipated that. So it's like I've missed something, and I think about thinking, not having aligned to thinking, I think is where I kind of have that shame cycle, because I feel, and then I feel like I don't always, I feel like I should have thought more. I think I should have thought more. And that's where I get stuck, where I feel like I should have known better. I should have noticed that. I should have realized that. I should have anticipated that. I feel like I haven't thought enough.
Do y'all
The-
resonate with that? That sounds very heady. Go ahead, teach.
I mean, it sounds like the low side of one to me.
Yep. The low side of one is my lowest. When I am at my lowest, I am low side of one.
Just don't ever get confident there, because then you'll become a villain.
Which I don't know. That might be pretty good too.
I would say that
I can totally relate to that what low side of one villain thing though. Like I was a step mum for a while, and like I would say my low side villain mum definitely came out in that arena, and it was a deliberate learning curve to kind of move away from church. I'm sure my stepsons would agree.
For me, I think there's something about going to my one that is about stepping out of the real big shadow of my childhood, where I was shy. I felt I was broken. I was, something wrong with me, and then differentiating myself, becoming unique, the unicorn, the different one. There's something about moving to I'm older, and I live pretty much, I feel like I'm pretty much in my one most of the time. And I had to cultivate it very intentionally to be in the world, be part of the world. I mean, it became my project was how was I to move towards being in leadership positions, which was not a natural thing for me at all. So it was incredibly growthful, but it definitely does feel like the other side, or I can feel the shadow of the four behind my power in the one. It's not like either or. It's not like it's not about emotions. That there's the emotional intelligence is part of the one. It's part of it, informs it. It's much more integrated.
I have a kind of follow-up question around that, which is about when we talk about moving into our stress points, we quite often describe it as being really automatic and kind of just something that happens, right? We just kind of slide down a slide. And I'm not saying there are no conditions under which we move naturally into, what are we calling them?
the secure.
The security moves. But it feels often like they're more conscious and deliberate. Cultivated was a word that was used, you know. I'm just wondering how people
Oh, I
say.
love that you said it because that was going to be my question as well. The slide analogy is perfect. Going to stress feels like going down a slide. Going to security feels like climbing a wall. Like and
Right.
for me, going into stress, or I'm sorry, into security, I don't get the feeling of being secure until I have done the consistent things that are going to be practical that get me where I want to go, usually towards competency of something. And then I get to experience a feeling of security, but I don't get security first. Like, yeah, there's a path that I must be diligent about in order to get there.
I'd love to speak to this because I would love to paint what I see as the roads to security and how you experience those, because that's in essence what I'm hearing there. I'm shocked at how much competency is coming out here. So this needs to get talked about because it's going to help me win a debate.
With me?
No, it's
Okay, good.
competency can be analytic. Is competency, when you're speaking about it, exclusively about your emotions, or is competency about the world that you understand out there? When you feel comfortable understanding the world out there, that's what allows you to move forward. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
It's closer to that second one for me,
Yeah.
but for me, it's like if I want to act, right? I can't just feel feelings and put myself in front of a camera or on a stage and suddenly have the impact I want. Like what I have to do is get into my body, figure out, use my mind to figure out the practical things that are required in order to build the skill so that I can translate what's happening inside of me out into the world. This is where my idealism gets amped up when I go into one. Like then I can create the ideal world where I can take something that was broken or something and make it beautiful, present it in a way where people can feel that. And to do that, you have to have a competent skill set that is very practical for me anyway. Like you could write a book, you could do poetry, but until you learn how to do those things, you won't have the impact you want, which I think is required for security.
I think for me, competency is like the ultimate balancing act, you know, with all tenors. So, you know, we're easily in emotion. When we're in stress space, it's harder to get out and it's hard to move forward. So what work we're doing to, you know, kind of get out of that or to neutralize it, it gives us more of a chance to be able to get into balance.
I've been working with my Enneagram coach on productive versus unproductive action. So that's been a real challenge for me to kind of separate what those look like. And the unproductive is the emotional activity. It's motivated by the emotions, connected to whatever I'm feeling. Whereas the productive is moving into that one, taking the competency, is efforted. But it's like this is moving towards goals and values that I want to accomplish in my life versus the other stuff where it's just more spending and doing for the feels and making the feels bigger. So that's been a big thing for me right now, is just trying to separate productive versus unproductive in my life.
It's a good distinction. I mean, when I had the idea of opening this pet store, there was a lot of emotion around it. And that's what got us going, was my emotion and where I felt like I was dedicated to the idea of it and I was really excited about it, but I didn't know how to do anything. Like I didn't know how to find a place. I didn't know how to find a broker. I didn't know how to hire people. I didn't know how to negotiate a lease. I didn't know how to write a business plan. I didn't know any of that. I had to learn it all. And in the process of learning it, the competency, like we were talking about, was really important. And I had to deal with my emotions to get them in a place where I could work on the competency, where they didn't get in my way. So I had to go through that first, and I've had to do it over and over as I've run into the next thing I didn't know how to do. So it's like I become more competent, I move forward, and then I run into something else I don't know how to do, and I have to back up, deal with my emotions, get those all in place, and then work on the competency again.
Bringing up a couple of the paths into your security move, a primary is just elevating your repressed center. So for fours, when you elevate, when you put first investment in your physicality, you can't help but move into your body, and that's more in line with one space. And I hear that there. The nasty little secret that some of us know that withdrawn types struggle with is that you can never know and feel enough. Of course you can't feel or know enough. You gotta just start doing it. Like, and in fact, in doing it, you will discover how to do it. You can't effectively actually even understand how to do something without intentionally doing it. And
Whatever.
a secret to moving into your security space. Now, security space is not your best self. Your best self is being in four space, in our view. But that is a road there. A second, and I heard it a lot, was you have your motive fulfilled. So when you do get your feelings and thoughts around the thing that's most core, it gives you that leverage point for naturally acting in the world. That seems like the most free-flowing way to get to your security move. Another way, and I suppose you can hear it in the dismissal of my answer, but another way to get to your security move is simply to slaughter your motive and say, I don't care about being unique or understood. I'm going to just do it. I don't care what people think about me when I do it. So ask me how easy that is for me to say, just don't care about whether this is right or wrong, just perform. That is quite difficult for me. But that is a way to get into your security move. And the last one it came out of stuff that Shoshana was saying, that as a four, you're going to be entirely surrounded by the past. And so living in the past is just going to be your natural wheelhouse. When you intentionally say, I'm going to live in the present, you cannot stay in four space. So if you temporarily shift into the present gear, that will force you into one tools or two tools. And that would be another way of you getting into to balancing. So I feel like I just put forth a list that I've been holding on to for a while as you guys had these great answers. And I wanted to go through those in turn. But what hits you most as I say that in terms of going towards security?
Yeah. What you said about being in the present seems huge. The present. I feel like for me, it's all about being in the present. I no longer really relate to being in the past. I used to, all melancholy, maudlin, writing poems. I burnt all of my journals before I came to the US. It was to the UK. It was so freeing. Like, what? You did burnt all your journals? It was very thing, but it was also like, I'm done. I just want to be
I have to ask,
in the
did you
present,
just literally just throw them into the fire, or did you design a ceremony?
Actually, I didn't burn them. That was dramatic license. I actually put them in the recycle. I'm from California. We can't burn. So
This is so
put them in the
funny because
recycling.
I
I
have
shriveled
the
them up.
same
Put them in the
story, and I tell
recycling.
everybody that I burned them, but I didn't. I recycled them.
Right, 'cause then you can have the romantic idea that someone's going to find them and write a play about them.
We don't have time to get into this, but I want to point out that like this is a great example of the difference between truth and authenticity. Because burning them is authentic. It's not necessarily true, but it is still the authentic response that you had to it.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like burning. So
The
therefore I
metaphorical burn.
Any other words on the present
metaphorical
and
burn.
embracing the present for you?
Yes. The thing that came up for me when you were talking about the present is that the action needed to be done can only happen now. I used to do a lot of future Delians got this, in the ideal world when, everything kind of lines up and I'm finally supported and seen by the people in my life. And I'll just be able to make all those dreams come true in the future. And it made it so that I didn't have to do anything now. And being in the security, and it happens with stress too. Stress makes me move into the present moment in a hyper-focused way. But in security, it's like, okay, here is my to-do list. This is what I have prepared for myself to actually do on a consistent basis. It has nothing to do with my feelings. It can't. And that's the wall climbing. The wall is here now. Yeah. If I do 2 steps now and then I go back to the past, literally those 2 steps do not have the same impact if I just kept going up the wall.
It stops procrastination.
And it takes one to keep doing that, right?
Yeah.
Say
It stops procrastination.
Yeah.
Because you can't procrastinate if you're in the moment and doing. Like, you have to be doing it.
As a critique, Riso and Hudson say about fours, I'll become present to my life when I've completely resolved all of my emotional issues and I've found my true significance, when I'm completely free to express all my feelings with everyone whenever I want, then I'll show up.
Yeah.
By the
That's
way,
an ideal.
It's cutting for all 9 types in this book, but that was reminded me of that.
When I'm in the present moment and experiencing what is right now, then that's when I can actually have gratitude for right now, where I'm at right now. But yeah, that's the presence for me is like, for being in the present moment.
So that's a great move. Like, what are more of the, for lack of a better term, like spiritual kind of practices that get you in the present moment? I am grateful for X right now is a stellar phrasing of, you can't help but kind of engage that gear right there. Love that.
I guess joy is the other one, which for me is, I don't know if all fours relate to that, but I find joy kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Like I said with my, joke at the beginning, like the fun is a hard place to find. So if I can find some joy and fun, that feels like a spiritual practice.
Let's talk about that for a second. What I hear there is something approaching equanimity for the 4. That is that there's a variety of emotions that all have truth and body and bass tones to them. Very oftentimes 4s can have a temptation to simply elevate the darker emotions because they have kind of a potency. They'll hit your heart in a different kind of way, produce emotions. Whereas joy also has its place in that spectrum of the wonderful emotions that we ought to experience and value as well. Is that what's taking place there? Is I'm elevating? It's so easy to be condescending towards those who are happy-go-lucky, as it were, but saying
because they're
actually,
lying.
Joy has a place.
It also feels very shallow, right? Like it can
Joy
at
can.
least. Yeah, joy can be. Well, and it also sometimes seems like you wouldn't be that happy if you actually saw and felt everything. So it does feel like a lie because it feels like partial
Oh, there you
truth.
go. It's not that.
For me, it's the distinction between fun and joy are not the same things. Because for me, it's like I can feel all of the feelings, all of the colors. Partly why I'm actually glad you're back in the UK, because the sky is always changing. It wasn't in California. It was hard as a floor.
Living in California is bad for your soul. Sorry,
blue.
California.
No, it's not very full.
I have a.
Like, oh my God, it's sunny
Oh, no,
again.
go ahead.
But there's something. It's the changing, all the changes, like all of the emotions. Everything's changing all the time. It goes back to JJ. Was it you who said? It's like you can't be fixed. You can't think you've just understood. The only thing to understand is that everything shifts, and that is about being in the present. When you're fully in the present, you're noticing everything shifts all the time, and it's beautiful. It's joy, it's sadness, it's everything. But I think moving to my 1 is more about being able to be the witness to the clouds that are passing and not be the clouds.
Go ahead.
It's-
I want to hear what you have to say.
But I think, there's still sadness, there's still loss, there's still we can accept that things happened and still acknowledge where we are and gratitude. Now, what I don't believe is when people are happy time. Like that to me, that doesn't make sense. But there's a difference between, happiness and pure joy, at least for me.
Would it not be the case that happiness all the time, also aside from not being authentic, is also a rejection of equanimity, which is seeking to find a place for all the rich emotions? So there's like an equal and opposite error. You can exclude happiness entirely or embrace happiness entirely. Both of these are wrong-headed, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also about a level of intensity because
Yeah.
I mean, my experience of the four is I can go to some like really, really like intense joy places, like happy places sometimes. Sometimes it takes me some outside influences to get there, but I can definitely get there and it can be intense and that's great. But then I can very quickly move into the intensity of the complete opposite. And for me, the equanimity is about the being, and that relates back to your question about spiritual practice. For me, is like the spiritual practice is to be okay in the like the mundane in a way. It's like it's to be okay in the space between where it's a little bit flat, if I'm honest.
That's really interesting because I do feel like that's what health ends up looking like, is being able to embrace the discomfort of normal.
Mm-hmm.
And also like joy is, I think, one of the most intense feelings. And when I experience joy, I cannot not also experience the flip side of it, which is the intense grief of what life would be like if I didn't have that joy. And so both things happen for me really intensely. And health and practices I've had to do is being able to literally hold both of those things at the same time until it quiets down, until it comes like, and I can just be grateful for the fact that I do have that joyful thing, even though I know that one day I won't, because life is actually death.
I want to bring that full circle and talk a little bit about the head center with what you just said, because I think that like when we talk about 5s, 6s, and 7s and like categorizing the information, like you want to bring in all the data and put it in its appropriate place. And 4s feeling their thoughts, like you still have access to that, the idea of data, like that you're still gathering information, but unlike 5s, 6s, and 7s, the emotional, the heart-centered tint to that whole experience means that you must hold both things. You must hold both sets of data that are contradicting. And part of the internal experience is about figuring out how to hold that, whereas a non-emotional head center just wants to put the data where it goes. The emotional center says all of the data is relevant. And like it's there's a very, I think it's really important to try to understand that like you can be thinking about all of these things, and also it is in your wiring, in your nature, to hold conflicting sets of data and say this is right.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
That's why you're not getting into your body. You're in that space.
That's actually, for me, this is why I have to get into my body every day, because otherwise it's just energy, like emotion that doesn't get put out with my body, just gets stuck, and then I stay in what feels like just going further and further and further down into like the depths of despair. Like if I don't move my body, that all of that emotion just stays.
Stagnant.
Oh,
That's like high level Enneagram work. It seems to me for withdrawn types is creating physical habits that are, it's at this time every day, this activity goes, and it doesn't matter what I think or what I feel.
It's so
and the tag
boring,
there
but
matters.
it's so helpful.
yeah. And it can't, like, our feelings can't matter and our thoughts can't matter, because if they did, then I wouldn't do it.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. Is if your feelings and thinkings will get in the way of doing something. Y'all are fantastic. This actually is a good place to land. Why don't we do just kind of last word on stress and security and
I just think that piece that we were talking about before is really, really interesting about kind of how it can, with their resources, right? They're both arrow points are resources in different ways, and we can use different areas within those resources in different ways. So we've been talking about getting into the body as our fundamental work. I think we all kind of agree that we use our one to be able to do that, but we can use our one by bullying ourselves into doing that, or we can use our one to attach to our values to do that. Are we doing it because we're judging ourselves if we don't, and we're punishing ourselves if we don't, or are we aligning when we do it? And I feel like that's such a crucial part of what the Enneagram has to offer us, is separating out, not just this is your work, but like where do you orient in that?
Yep.
That's
very
good.
well said. Yeah. Last words?
I would add even the stress move similarly is there is a lot of ways to get out of your body by serving or get into your body by serving other people. And that can be really healthy, and like I am going to shut off the internal focus for a moment and serve. And it can also be really unhealthy, where it's like I am going to get everything I need by pouring it all into this other person or this group of people, and then you're just you all know what that looks like, and it can be really ugly. But it is still a way to get into your body in both of those moves.
Yeah, they like, just speaking as one, the thing that I would want to just shout out first is like, their joy can encapsulate all the thinking and all the feeling. That actually is what joy would be. It would be some sort of truth and honesty. So what does it look like to physically get into that? What does it look like to, not in a self-bullying way, but having a commitment to yourself and your own value of improving yourself, having integrity on these fronts, having a long-term vision for yourself, and allowing that to come out of what would you call it? A persevering, humble posture. Those strike me as kind of higher one qualities.
Yeah.
Commitment's a good word.
Commitment, consistency.
Discipline.
See, like, you at least can touch those. You have, like, when those words are used, they can zap for you. Yeah, in terms of you saying, oh yes, of course.
Yeah, it's like if we have to climb the wall, there's a rope that can help us get up there. That's consistency. That's the continual showing up no matter what. And I think for me, it's one of the most important things I can do.
Well, you guys are the best. Appreciate your time. Ladies,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this was great.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
hey friends, it's Jeff. We're wrapping up August. Lots of stuff going on at aroundthecircle.org, but just to name a couple things. First, on the morning of September 12th, we're going to host an online workshop with Enneagram coaches Stacy Wynn, who's an 8, Danny Cooper, who's a 1, and the TJ Wilson, who's a 9. They're going to be talking through their own experiences of their type, getting into the body types, 8, 9s, and 1s. If you're interested in being part of this workshop, there's generally around 30 or 40 people that show up. Do sign up for a membership at aroundthecircle.org. You'll get all of the information. Second, if you or someone you love is just getting into the Enneagram, do look for our Start Here podcast. Just search Enneagram in your podcast platform of choice. Just search for it on your podcast feed. It is commonly one of the top Enneagram podcasts. This podcast, Start Here, has over 20 hours of introductory material. It's all laid out like an audiobook for those who are just getting into the Enneagram for the first time. It is free, so take a listen, share it with a friend, sign up for a free membership, again at aroundthecircle.org. And hey, may all good things be yours.